I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we talk about X-Men. We're back, Gary. We're talking about X-Men again.
We're not only just talking about X-Men, but we're talking about one of the big X-Men stories.
So in a kind of a weird circumstance, we decided to cover Uncanny X-Men number 129 as it's the first appearance of Emma Frost, and then realized it was also the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, and then realized it kind of sets off the Phoenix Saga. So we're just going to cover the
entire... the first appearance of Dazzler.
So we're just going to keep going.
Yeah. And it's a classic X-Men comic. It's, arguably the most important X-Men comic, right? Like whenever you look at the best X-Men stories, you get your Days of Future Past, and you get your God Loves Man Kills, and you get your Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. And reading it, this holds up real well.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a real good comic. It's funny. The action and stuff in it is cool. It's well paced.
Yeah.
The art's great.
Art's great.
It's really good.
It's written really well. Like I like these. This kind of starts off as a little bit of a downtime for the X-Men after coming off of a weird run-in with Proteus. And I like, those kind of lulls in the action where characters can be characters a little bit. And but this is also like got some action in it as well, so it's fun.
This means that we're only a couple issues away from the great Wolverine solo issue of him going through the Hellfire Club basement and just fucking bodying the Hellfire Club.
Great stuff on that one.
Absolute classic. Good shit.
We start off in Ireland where they're saying goodbye to Moira McTaggart. And then we get kind of a round of people just saying, just rejecting Cyclops, just saying, no, I don't want to join the X-Men. Cyclops, I'm sorry. He has like 7 people on this, wherever they are on this jetway. Banshee
retires because his voice is thrown out and he wants to be there for Moira. Multiple Man decides not to join the X-Men because he's just still a farm boy from Kansas. I always forget that about Multiple Man.
Yeah. Big Midwest emo energy with that guy. Just.
And then Havoc and Lorna Dane are like, no, we're just going to be people. Like, we'll be reservist if you need us.
Yeah.
You'll let us know, but we want to live a normal life.
If Apocalypse comes, give us a call. But like, if it's just like Stilt Man, like, what are we even here for?
Yeah.
If you guys got that,
no
don't worry
need.
about it.
So they're down an X-Man.
Yep.
And they're flying back. They all seem like they're doing fine at this point. Jean Grey is just hanging out talking to Storm, and we cut over to Jason Wingard. This is Mastermind in the Hellfire Club. This is the first appearance of the Hellfire Club in, for realsies. Like, she's been getting these things, so I'm sure there have been these little foreshadowings, before this.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much we talked about on the show. I love the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, really.
I love how they look. It's just a bunch of cool, like evil Illuminati bullshit, who dress up like old lords for some reason and do evil shit. 70s Hellfire Club rules.
Yeah. I was really glad when, I think we probably talked a lot about this in First Class, but when the movie came out and it was like 1960s, 70s, kind of swinging Hellfire Club, like,
yeah,
that really, really, really worked for me. Like, I don't know, like, if modern day Hellfire Club would really, like, you just end up with those shitty kids from Wolverine and the X-Men book. But yeah, I was always kind of cold on Hellfire Club just because of the outfits. Like, it felt a little too cheesy for some reason, so I just never got into them that hard.
It's super cheesy. Like,
yeah,
I just ended up liking it because it was really, like, one, because it's attached to this like super good comic. Or storyline rather, and then 2, I always like this idea of just like wealthy movers and shakers. It's got Eyes Wide Shut kind of feelings to it.
It brushes up against some cultism, which I know is your thing.
Yes. Oh man, it's kind of culty.
Get me in there. Kind of culty.
What Jason Wingard is doing is using his illusionist powers, his mastermind powers, to make Jean Grey think that she's in the past.
Yes.
This has been happening. He's basically like mentally gaslighting her to hypnotize her, which is what happens in this storyline.
Yeah.
I don't know why she has to be in the past. For it.
Don't know. Don't really. I guess it's just kind of a thing because she believes she's getting visions from like a past life or something.
Yes.
And but she also thought that all of this stuff was caused by like Proteus. Like she was thinking that because his weird mental powers, but apparently not, because she's having them even after they defeated Proteus. The past thing has never made a lot of sense to me at all. Like even as a kid, I was like, okay, I mean, like sure, yeah.
It's so it doesn't make tons of sense. One of the things I was thinking about when reading it this time is that this is supposed to be like a mental landscape. I think Pirate Times is more interesting than what we usually get.
100%, yeah.
For that kind of thing, like him just kind of tricking her into falling in love in her dreams. It may as well be a romance novel.
Yeah,
especially since the Phoenix is kind of about her like giving into her deepest sexual desires and becoming a bondage queen.
Yeah,
she knows something's wrong at this point. She's like, I feel it. I have these emotions when I look at him, seeing this pirate version of Jason Wingard. But she knows it's wrong, and she runs out onto the ship and sees Cyclops pirate.
Yeah,
there,
PirateClops,
who is actually real Cyclops in real life.
And they have this kind of touching moment where I don't know all of this history. The Jean and Scott stuff goes all over the place, but he wants to talk to her because it basically just reconfirmed that he loves her, and that because when he was without her, he realized like how much he missed her and how much he needed her. And they kiss, and it seems like they're super duper good. And of course, like this is all set up for her basically breaking up with him to become the bondage queen. So poor Scott.
It's real sweet. Like they spend the rest of the flight like talking, touching and kissing, but mostly just talking about each other or talking to each other, and then they land and they spend all their time like talking and catching up. It's very sweet.
Yep.
But when they get back to the school, they realize something's wrong. There, the security system has picked up an outsider, and the X-Men blast in ready to fight Juggernaut or whatever. But it's Xavier. Xavier's back.
Yeah, he was gone for a while, and now he's returned. So we spend kind of a day. There's a couple of days they're just like chilling out. Scott and Jean are just having a good time. And then as they're walking into the mansion, they get almost kind of bowled over by Wolverine, who is very angry at being treated like a kid in the danger room. And Scott kind of just immediately is like, I
was like, oh shit.
Yeah, so I kind of saw that where this was going. Yeah,
I forgot that Xavier was like this,
and
we're all new, all different, and he forgot.
I cannot tell you how much Scott. Please tell Wolverine that his childish outburst will cost him 10 demerits. Like that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so funny. Like the idea of old Xavier, like get to the danger room in 1.3 seconds or you will be punished. Coming back and trying to fit in with like regular ass, kind of hip and cool X-Men.
Yeah.
Is very funny.
Fucking adults, man. Like adults with thoughts and feelings and like that, have fucking Wolverine's like 180 years old at this point. Like, having the idea of like making them have demerits or merits in the first place is just so fucking flabbergasting to me.
Can you imagine being an adult and somebody gives you a demerit?
I would laugh in their fucking face, dude. I just wouldn't be able to help it. Like, Autumn is much more into like the corporate world with her job. Like so she goes to like sales meetings and stuff, and they have to do like they'll do like there's the real cliche like sales bonding experiences or whatever. And she was telling me the other day, I can't remember what they had to do. They had to like build something like to save an egg or what I'm saying, one of those dumb fucking team building.
Saving eggs.
But she was like, she kind of ended up being the team leader, and she was like, I had to tell him like, God, the winner of this has to do like a scene. They have to like write and act out a scene. Like, let's just let's just try like solid second place here, okay? Like she had to coach them down because they were like, we're gonna be too good at this, and we're gonna have to do more of this bullshit.
That's incredible. The winner gets to put on a corporate sketch.
Oh my God. I don't know how she puts up with it. Cyclops tries to explain to Xavier here of like, hey, like you started this team, we were all teenagers. This kind of approach made sense, but like you can't do that. We're all adults. Like you don't number one, you don't even really know this team. Like, you haven't been a part of it, and you can't just come in here and kind of treat them like this. And Xavier just fully flips it. He's like,
what a dick.
I feel like this is your fault. This is your failing as a leader. And I'm like, whoa, holy shit.
Yeah. He's like, to be a team, he's like, we are a team. And Xavier's like, quiet. You are a team. I've been remiss. My main mistake was keeping you in charge, a lapse that's going to be rectified.
Got him.
I can't remember if Xavier at this point is a clone or something. Like, this is actually leading somewhere, or if he's just a dick.
I think he's just a dick.
But he's being a huge dick at this point. I love Scott just being like, you can give him 10 demerits or 10,000. It won't make a difference. I really wish that Xavier had followed that line. It was like, how about 100,000 demerits? And he like goes in his little second Cerebro that keeps track of which X-Men have what demerits. Just it's so good. But Cerebro gives him the mutant alarm.
Yes.
So Saved by the Bell.
Not one, but
here.
two
Two powerful mutants.
Yeah. And we learned that Jason Wingrave and the Hellfire Club have tapped Cerebro's line.
They tapped Cerebro.
They tapped Cerebro like it was a fucking phone line. So they have access to not only any new mutant information, but all of the existing information as well. Their tactics, their personalities, what they're scared of, like all of the X-Men files. And we actually see, I think that for the first time, like this kind of shrouded council of the Hellfire Club. And he's talking to, Wingrave is talking to Shaw, but we don't know, we haven't met Shaw yet. And this is when we're introduced to the White Queen, aka Emma Frost.
Yeah. And this is good White Queen content. Here she's just like, as you say, Shaw, she's kind of a Mystique character. We're going to find out later that she schemes, and is not really does not want to be subservient to these dudes. But when we start getting her internal dialogue, like she reads basically like Emma.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. I agree.
And I've always been a fan of the early Emma Frost costume, which is undeniably lingerie, but is like slightly less taped on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cape is real great, like good touch.
I love a good cape, man.
Yeah. Looks real good.
We jump to Chicago, the Windy City, where we actually jump to a suburb of Chicago where we meet Kitty Pryde.
Deerfield, Illinois, which I have been to.
Oh, do you want to brag about anything else?
The birthplace of Kitty Pryde.
Do you want to
visit the house where she grew up?
What's in Deerfield, Illinois? Is there anything?
Not much. Probably like an Applebee's.
Okay.
Not tons.
Applebee's town, not a Chili's town. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's still basically Chicago. Like they say it's a suburb, but it's still pretty adjacent to the city.
Yeah, like you can't, when you drive through Metairie to get to New Orleans, like you don't know where Metairie ends and New Orleans begins. Like, yeah. But
it's like that, like Evanston or something. It's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So this makes me think that Chris Claremont maybe did not understand there. In part because the way he talks about Chicago, where he's like, home of the world's tallest building, and so they say the best pizza. The song by Sinatra. Like he's just going on about doing Claremont shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Kitty Pryde comes home. She's not feeling great. We get her internal monologue. She's got this headache. And they're talking about, they're serious about splitting up because they're going to send me away to school.
Yeah.
She does not want to go to school, but she's basically being courted by these boarding schools at this point. We find out it's because she's a mutant, but she does not know this at this point.
We see she goes to her bedroom where she's thinking about all this, and we see like a typical 14-year-old's bedroom, but these stuffed animals and the clown in the corner have the most ridiculous faces. Like, why is this clown just stoned out of his fucking mind? Like, that's fucking...
Yeah, the clown and the bear.
Yeah.
The bear's got a real Chuck E. Cheese, like, horrible bear.
Oh, man, I'm not into it. Did you go to Chuck E. Cheese recently? Did you tell me that?
I was going to. We recorded that episode, but we didn't make it. We went to a Bullwinkle's instead, which is...
I don't even know what a Bullwinkle's is.
Used to be pretty similar, but they put in a bowling alley and got rid of the robots.
Oh, okay.
So, big bummer. She's on her bed. She has a headache. We get her age. She's 13 and a half. I always forget how young the X-Men recruited him back in the day. And she phases through the floor. The way they do it, she doesn't really know what's happening. She just wakes up on the floor. In the floor below, not the floor of her bedroom, but down one level.
Yes.
And
she has to do a lot of scrambling to I'll just come down here for some water. Like, that's all it was. She has to like quickly scramble to figure out why, to tell her parents. Emma Frost is leaving, and as she's leaving, the X-Men are arriving in their plain clothes. Wolverine in this suit with the giant pockets, I think, is very funny.
Dude, the crew vibes of the X-Men showing up here.
You want to talk about
like,
a fucking cult, dude? This is the cultiest shit I've seen in a long time.
Storm, when Kitty Pryde, so Emma Frost leave, and like Wolverine's like, there's something that doesn't smell good about her. She looks good, but she doesn't smell good. Emma Frost is biding her time, which I like. She's in control of the situation. When Kitty Pryde looks down on the X-Men, Storm straight up looks like a fucking Dracula. Like when she's on the street, it's obviously like African garb.
Mm-hmm.
The way they draw her at this angle, it looks like a man pushing a wheelchair, a cowboy with horrible hair, and a Dracula came in to recruit me.
It's not good, dude.
It's not good. It's real silly. While they're talking, they're basically deciding who's going to take this girl to school. She goes to grab a malt with Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Down at the thing, and we get the beginning of this relationship. This is one of the great X-Men friendships.
Yes,
Storm and Kitty Pryde, and
it's kind of starts from the beginning. Like you get the feeling that they just are kind of immediately friendly with one another, and like Storm has some inner dialogue about like this could have been me. Like if I had gone a different way in my life, like I could have been going through the same things. And of course, Kitty is kind of starstruck when Storm reveals that they're actually part of the X-Men, and wants her autograph. Like it's kind of nice.
It's very sweet. Storm thinking that is very funny. She has this big smile on her face, and she's like, I could have been like this. Instead of walking across the Sudan, I hadn't learned to soar on the winds. In that desert, I almost died. She's just like, starts monologuing to this stuff. Whenever people ship Storm and Kitty Pryde, I always want to be like, she was 13 when they met. Storm's like the most mature X-Men. This is like a big sister relationship,
I mean,
not trying to stomp on anything, but like she's real young.
Yeah,
real young.
I like the I like the Kitty Ilyana kind of angle on that a lot
way
more.
Better.
And the Peter stuff is just out the box. Like, yeah. We talked about that before.
No thanks.
I think during the Brood saga, right, where he's like, we shouldn't be together, and I'm like, yeah, dude, you shouldn't.
Yeah, no shit. Like, yeah, I don't understand why don't date children is so hard.
Dude, it's fucking weird, man. It's so fucking weird. Like, why?
What I do love is Wolverine, who's about to fucking kill this porn magazine guy.
That's just so funny. Also, like, it's so like because nowadays you can't just go to somewhere and like pick up a Playboy magazine, right? Like, you can't just
penthouse,
like leaf
dude.
Do what?
A penthouse.
Yeah.
There's spread.
Yeah.
You see pink at a penthouse. Like,
it's not good, dude.
He's just there. The guy is like, hey man. I love Colossus in his sweater vest, just like standing over Wolverine's shoulder, being worried.
Yeah. Like, why are you looking at this? Those are boobs in public. You're not supposed to be doing that.
He's like, this ain't no library. And Wolverine's like, I don't like being tapped. I was like, Wolverine, no. Like, it's so funny.
Wolverine just wants to fucking fight, dude. He's just ready to fucking fight.
And he's a mutant with metal bones.
Yeah,
and this is a pretty old man.
Yeah, this is a middle-aged dude,
gonna beat up
like
for no reason.
A shop owner, like just a normal, like an everyday guy, and like Wolverine is just ready to kick his fucking ass.
I love it. And then busting into this malt shop / magazine shop come the Knights of the Hellfire Club. I always forget that the Hellfire Club had little robot flamethrower men.
Well, we find out later that there's actually dudes in these robot suits because they kill them all. But they've all come equipped and with specific powers to deal with each one of the X-Men. Which is kind of funny. Like they have a flamethrower for Colossus, which he can actually feel the heat coming through because it's so hot. One has a force field, which doesn't let Wolverine's claws through. So he gets thrown like across the building or across this poor ice cream shop. Kitty gets scared.
This is what Wolverine wanted.
Yeah. Wolverine walked in here and was like, I'm going to fuck this place up one way or the other.
Yeah. One way. Wolverine gave the Hellfire Club a little hint.
Have you ever...
He's like, listen, we're going to be here.
I feel like there's been a handful of people in my life that I've... this is not something that I'm like particularly proud of. Like, I'm not bragging when I say this, just to say this out loud. But like, there's been a handful of people that I've met that I just like instantly knew that I could bully.
Okay.
And I don't know what it is. Like I'm thinking of one specific guy where I was just like this dude is just a piece of shit, and I would just like, and I wouldn't bully him, but I was definitely like pushing his buttons to see what he would do, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Wolverine probably feels that way about everything. Like he just walks into a place and looks around and is like, yep, I am gonna fuck this entire room up before I leave tonight.
And as much as it's super shitty that he does that, he did just receive a demerit.
10.
Like
10,
he's got 10 demerits. He's probably pretty upset about that. Like, a man tries to give you a demerit, you want to go back and assert something.
Mm-hmm.
So they do the thing where they're like, they send one for each of us to counter us. Let's switch fights.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men did this all, and Chris Claremont did this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, constantly would a group send one specific, like, we're going to send one guy for each X-Man, and then they have a specific one they're supposed to target, but we can't give them all the powers. Like, we're only going to send scissors against the paper.
Exactly.
And rock versus the scissors, and hopefully they just don't switch, because then we're fucked. Weird Chris Claremont trope.
They eventually like beat the robot guys, and it doesn't matter because the White Queen comes in and just fucking knocks all three of them out.
Yeah. She knew they were going to be there. It was all part of her plan.
Yep. And when her like dudes, when her little Hellfire Club minions are like, what about the guys in the robot suits? She's like, nope, they're just gonna explode because they didn't do a good job. Which is very funny to me.
This henchman Hellfire Club guy, Cutler.
Don't
worry about them, Cutler. So they blow them up. I love that they're in this supersonic hovercraft jet thing.
Yes.
And they take the back streets of Chicago to not draw attention.
Yeah, like you do. Nobody's paying attention to the back streets of Chicago.
And then they strip the X-Men.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, make sure they don't have any communication device on them. Like, this was their whole point. They went to go get Kitty Pryde. They knew Xavier would go there because of the thing. And they wanted the X-Men to show up there so they can capture them.
Yeah.
Cool move. The Hellfire Club are chess people.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing advanced tactics here.
Yeah. This is all very cool. Like they're even like, she's like, we know that Storm keeps a lockpick device in her hair. Like, make sure you get all of that. Like they're actually like going through her hair or whatever. So
during the fight, Kitty Pryde got knocked through the wall. Not in a bad way, but through a phase way. And so she stows away and they don't know. And this is setting up Kitty Pryde's like awesome debut in the comic we're going to talk about, where it's her as kind of a stealth mission while all the X-Men are knocked out.
Yeah.
What a good comic.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Great comic. Like, I get real sick of Chris Claremont shit. And I think that he probably hasn't written anything worth reading since like 1995. But at his height, it's very good X-Men.
Yeah. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed with Claremont. Like, if I read a bunch of Claremont, like when the times that I've tried to be like, I'm going to start with Giant Size X-Men #1 and then go from read all of the Uncanny. After like 50 or 60 issues, I'm just like, okay, I need to take a break. So like dipping in and out, like we've been doing with like kind of bouncing all over the Marvel universe is kind of the way to go, I think, because you just don't get a lot of them at once. So, and undoubtedly, like the good shit is the good shit, right? Like you can't even
the Brood Saga was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's the actual storylines, like reading them as a serialized thing the way they're intended is exhausting, but if you actually go to any of these individual storylines, like reading Fall of the Mutants or reading Mutant Massacre or something like that, Inferno, like those are all actually pretty fun reads.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And within the the scope of the show, we'll probably talk about most of them.
Yep. Almost definitely. Yeah. Because we can't get enough. That's it. Kitty Pryde's on board.
That's it for this batch.
We're going to set up for some Phoenix shenanigans. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is good. I'm excited to read some more of the Phoenix stuff. This is a prime X-Men time for me. So
yeah, it's a absolutely classic. If you like the show, head on over to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Throw us a couple $. We really appreciate it. You can also leave us ratings or reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, or anywhere else you find places to review. And then most importantly, tell your ex-friends.
Yeah. Talk to your people.
Our current friends who like X.
No. Talk to your ex-friends who like X-Men.
Yeah. Like this might get you guys back together.
Yeah. You don't know. Could. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for listening more than anything. We really appreciate it. We've mentioned this a couple of times, but this will be the last one of the short episodes. So starting this episode should come out on a Wednesday. Starting on Saturday, you'll get one big chonker of an episode every 2 weeks. So look forward to that. And yeah, we'll see you there. Bye.
Yeah.